question for Izzy, and then I'll have one for Gable. Izzy, Edson Barboza just retired from the UFC, and one of the things about him is they say he has the strongest and the hardest resume, hardest strength of schedule ever in the UFC. I know Tony and Gable have history, but is Tony the Edson Barboza of RAF? Because it feels like every single matchup he's in is just an absolute murderer's row.
You know, it's crazy because we have such a pool of wrestlers that we get to choose from. And we, if everyone doesn't know, we signed every Olympic champ in 2024. I mean, but no matter how badass some of these guys are, you know, they don't want to step up to wrestle certain guys. But just like Will Lamont and Kennedy Blades and Jesse Menendez, I watched Tony Cassioppi grow up. And I watched him grow up since a young man. He was chubby, and then all of a sudden he got really thin and started kicking everyone's ass. It was just such a fierce competitor. I've been able to be friends with his father and his mother and his sister. I actually trained before, and I just knew their mentality of the type of family and people they are, that they never back down, and they always want to test themselves and challenge themselves. So when it was time to find Gable a partner, a sparring match here, a wrestling match, it was a no-brainer because I knew Tony wouldn't say no, and I knew that he's training extremely hard. Even though he's wrestled some of the hardest wrestlers in the world, he's actually done pretty well. If you look at his first match and his first competition, he pushed him, and he was in that match to win. I'm not doubting Gable obviously at all, but you know, we don't like to dog Edson Barboza because that's just what a warrior and a legend, you know, and I think that's a positive thing when you talk about Edson, right? Like, he's the warrior that's been through the best and battled the best. And hopefully Anthony can keep, or Tony can keep going and challenge the best wrestlers in the world, because that should be anybody's dream to have the opportunities that he's been able to have.
Well said. And then for you, Gable, Tony said that all of your endeavors may have closed the gap a little bit from your previous encounters. What's your response to that, and how do you feel differently here?
You know, I've been on a lot of endeavors, you know, there's some crazy ones. But I remember I came back in 2023, the rest of the US Open. I probably practiced for like 3 weeks, and I tech fought everybody in that tournament. And that's just shows you what Gable Steveson is. I can show up at any time, any place, and practice for the least amount of time and still go out there and dominate. And I like Tony as always. He wrestled so many times in college. He's always a fierce competitor, as Izzy said. So all the respect to him. But tomorrow I plan on winning, and I'll keep it moving from there.